Hello, 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 and happy Sanctuary Sunday. Thanks for joining me again this week. It's one of those day after rain days here in San Miguel de Allende. Um, Calm, contemplative, feeling like the world has been cleansed over. The rain has a way of doing that, rebirthing the new. Rebirth, like rebirth, right? To be born again, but new, rebirthing the new, which is not the topic of today, by the way. Actually, maybe a little bit. So, I was reading Sharon Salzberg, Sharon Salzberg's book, Real Love, sort of like Mindful Connection. And when I bought the book online, I thought it would be more about like intimacy, right? Because you read Real Love, Mindful Connection. And I'm always trying to be, my best self, best version inside of love, growing and expanding in that. Be that as it may, it wasn't about that at all. I mean, un poquito. But it's more about self-love and which is wonderful, right? Because we have to begin here before we can get out there, if we are to be successful in any case. So one of the things that came up while reading her book was, what are the stories that we're telling ourselves? So that's what today's message is about. What are we carrying now in our lives, in our adult lives, that is something that is from the past, from childhood or something way back there, but we've been, bringing it forth for years and years and years and years and years. What are the stories that we're telling ourselves, and how are we seeing ourselves in those stories? What are the messages we're constantly telling ourselves that become our inner dialogue about who we are, but it's not who we are. It's something that was passed down or handed to us because of someone else's story and the reality that they didn't do the inner work to release that story that was given to them, right? If we don't do the inner work, it's just going to be passed down and down and down, because we can only give to other people from the level of consciousness that we possess. We can only give advice to others from our level of thinking, our consciousness, our experiences, our awareness. We can't give something we don't have. And I was thinking before I got off the bed to come record this, was, many of us come from not so cool childhoods. Some have been terrible, like, beyond, and others just, sucked. Maybe not all of it, but enough of it to have created in a groove or an imprint in our minds that we then carry forth into our lives, that then in some way affect, usually adversely affect, the things around us. And I don't usually get very personal, for whatever reason. Not that I'm not aware, but just I don't usually get very personal. But I'm going to say that sometimes we need to get personal in order to create pathways of openings for others and even for ourselves, right? My childhood was, it was cool, but some things weren't. I didn't come from this warm, fuzzy, loving, affectionate family. I didn't. I didn't come from that at all. You know, my father, he was affectionate. He was affectionate and would express love and, you know, all of those things, um, and was my best friend. He was also an alcoholic, which brought with it a lot of emotion, a lot of tears that he would shed, a lot of what we would consider to be needy emotion, right? Not aggressive, very passive. So the alcohol, from his pain, from his childhood, from the damage done then that he carried forth, became the tears and the needing to be heard and loved. But he also married my mother. You know, when we don't heal ourselves, we run into things that may not be the best for us. And her running into him may not have been the best for her. Him running into her may not have been the, best for him. But my mother, she wasn't loving or demonstrative, affectionate, verbally, physically, any of that. I love you. What's that? You know, I used to be so uncomfortable as a child, as a teenager, when my friends would say, oh, I love you. It's like, whoa. I would feel some kind of way like, oh my God, that's so uncomfortable. What is that? I had to learn my way through that, because that's not something that was in my childhood experience, because my father wasn't always there, right? They separated. My experience was how to be distant and removed, how to be controlled and conditioned, how to be maintained, how to be independent, not to be exposed, not to be vulnerable, not to need anyone. None of that. You don't need love and hugs and kisses and warm fuzziness feelings. What is all that? No, you need to just focus. So there was also, inside of that controlled environment, was this false sense of perfection, this false sense of how things appear, not how they are. Everything that glitters ain't gold, but how they appear to be. Because appearances, that's what matters. But that's not true. And so inside of my life, I have had to journey the journey of undoing that story, undoing having to be so, in order to be exposed, in order to be vulnerable, in order to experience love, in order to be able to say, I love you, and to hear it and to feel it, to embody it. And we have to do that. Otherwise, we're carrying other people's stories into our present, and they affect our joy, our happiness, our peace of mind. And I think, mental illness is this thing, right? It's this real legit thing. And lately it's just been coming up more and more, like Kanye West and all the, people, places and things. And hey, who am I to say who is what, where, when, and how? I'm trying to just be inside of my own being, right? I am inclined to say that a lot of mental illness, certain categories, not all, certain categories, certain paths of mental illness are a direct reflection of childhood. Not genetic, not predisposition, although those are relevant too. I'm not trying to take away from that. But I mean, some things are because people have been carrying the stories unknowingly, right? How do we find out? How do we know? How do I know I was carrying my mother's story? Because we read we discover, we sit with, we feel how we feel, and we investigate that in order to free ourselves and have a different reality, a different experience. And I think a lot of people are suffering with anxiety and depression and fears and phobias and things because of the infiltration of childhood, of someone else's story that then damaged them. But we are not broken. Any story can be edited. As a writer, I'm thinking any story can be edited, revised, rewritten, and republished. Rewrite your story. Who's in it now? Who are you now? You don't have to lack love and affection. You don't have to keep busy all the time. You don't have to be the best at everything the way someone said you had to be. You don't have to criticize everyone or yourself. I'm not good enough. Yes, you are. Who told you that? That was their stuff that they put on you, that they put on me. You don't need people. Yes, I do. Well, you know I love you. How? Can I get some showing and some telling? Can I get some show and tell on the love? Or is it just, oh, I know? If it's just, oh, I know, that means that it's just empty and absent, but I'm just supposed to know. Love isn't like blind faith. Now, I'm all for blind faith, honey, because I know it like I know it like I know it. But when it comes to love, we need show and tell. We need permission to be imperfect. We need support in order to thrive. We need encouragement and validation in order to fulfill who we are capable of being. When we don't have a foundation that is supporting us to propel and be inside of life, then as we get older, we're missing elements that help us navigate the now. And instead of having what we need to navigate now, we have all this stuff we need to get rid of. Judgments, criticism, abandonment, abuse, neglect, fear. We can rewrite our story in any moment. Every moment I'm rewriting my story. Because in every moment I want to be a better version of who I am. In every moment I want to figure out why I behave this way. Why do I think this thing? Why does this happen when? When I follow those footprints back, I realize it had nothing to do with me. I was just the offspring. I wasn't the cause. I wasn't even the effect. But I'm experiencing the effect of that cause. I want to say, change your version of yourself. Because whatever the old story was, it doesn't have to be the story now. It doesn't have to be your new story. Write your bestseller life. Write your most profound and poignant life, where you love yourself, where you celebrate yourself, where you are good enough, where your friends around you are people who see you and you see them, where you expand and not contract. Write the story and choose the people inside your story, your life story that resonate deeply with you. Heal the wounds. Forgive so that you can be free. And inside of freedom, you let go of that. Because that was never yours. It was never mine. It's like, dang, how many years I've been carrying that around? It was never mine. It was given to me. It's almost like someone gave you a fake pat on the back, but they stamped you with all this stuff. And you just been walking around with it on your back unknowingly. Until somehow you caught a glimpse in the mirror and you're like, what is that? Oh no. Rewrite your story. Rewrite your story. So on this day, what am I, 16 minutes in? You know, today's attention span ain't that long. I want to say, be encouraged. I always want to say be encouraged. Be empowered to rewrite your story. And guess what? Oftentimes it's going to mean that some of those folks, parents, siblings, cousins, whomever, friends, whomever, won't be in it. They may not be in your new version of yourself and your new story. Because we can't let go and hold on. We can't let go and hold on simultaneously. They don't go together. So it's also about timing and readiness. If you are ready, start rewriting it. And if you're not, but you feel something, stay with that feeling. Because one day, you're going to be ready to rewrite your story. And when you're ready, it's going to sweep you up and transform you and breathe on you a whole new life and way of being. We all deserve that. We all deserve the fullness of our true selves. Not the limitation of a self from the past that was never ours. So, get out that blank piece of paper and a pen, because you don't want to erase it. And write your real story. Write your real story. Thank you for being here with me on this Sanctuary Sunday. I appreciate the love, energy, vibration, the silent and the spoken. May you be well, be free, be with perfect health, ease, and grace. May bounty and abundance always be yours, and may you breathe freely, every breath fully inside of life. Have a great day and week. May every moment be better. And inside of those better moments, may we be with gratitude. Adios.